We will give you a brief background for each speaker, and we will start with current Associate Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno.
Short. We will make it short. We will just choose the salient features.
She earned her bachelor's degree in economics from the Ateneo de Manila University and her bachelor's of law degree from the University of the Philippines, where she graduated class valedictorian. She then pursued her Master of Laws from the University of Michigan Law School. She was appointed, she's the first appointee of President Benigno Aquino III to the High Court, and she's the 13th woman appointed Supreme Court Justice. She is the youngest appointee since Cesar Bengson. Please welcome Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno.
Good morning, friends. Our country re-emerged in democracy following the 1987 People Power Revolution with high hopes for a truly accountable government. Sadly, the fall of one leader after another, political and judicial, has caused the sentiments of our countrymen to a state of despair and surrender. In part, cynicism developed from the perception that the 1987 Constitution has been assaulted, manipulated, and pulled from one direction to another, even by those who are supposed to uphold it. Some blame the Supreme Court for having faltered in this duty and to have likewise failed in upholding the rule of law. To them, it is because the leaders of the court appear to have clay feet and its members suspected to vote with mixed motives. It is with this grave thought this morning that I view our nation's present search for our next Chief Justice as a search for the renewing of the Philippine soul. So this morning, I wish to present to you myself, why I have made myself available to lead the judiciary. It is not from any sense of entitlement, friends, but because those who nominated me believe that I bring a dimension to the debate on the kind of leadership the judiciary needs that has not yet been brought forth. And to share with you why I agreed to be nominated, I will have to share with you my life, who I am, who I have been, how I think, how I feel, how I have made decisions in my 52 years. I'm sorry that I was not aware that a short reading of my biodata would also be made today. So if I am repeating any information, please just kindly bear with me. I was born to a simple family. My mother, a native of Bael, Laguna, taught at a public high school in the evening. My father, and she operated a cottage industry in the daytime. My father, who hails from Shasi Sulu, was for the most part of his life a small entrepreneur, and like most small entrepreneurs, largely unsuccessful. We were of modest means, and even then, my parents believed in the value of books. They would scour the newspapers to locate expatriate families disposing of books in garage sales. Hard up as we were, they would buy us those precious books. It was in solitude with those books that I developed my skills and habit of reflection, which served me well in later years. I am a proud product of the public school system. I graduated with honors from the Kamuning Elementary School and the Quezon City High School. I received scholarships from government and private foundations to obtain an economics degree at the Ateneo de Manila and a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of the Philippines. In Ateneo, the Jesuits imbibed in me the value of developing oneself to be a man for others. In UP, I learned from the country's leading minds in constitutional, civil, and criminal law and was introduced to non-conventional approaches in legal analysis. My philosophy in law is heavily informed by those great institutions. I also fully learned that poverty, far from being an excuse to engage in self-pity, is but a testing ground for hard work and excellence. By God's grace, I graduated valedictorian from the UP College of Law. But like most married female lawyers, I faced the challenge of choosing between a prestigious law practice and taking care of my family. I had joined the largest law firm in the country after graduation, and it offered enormous professional challenge with a lifetime of wealth and privilege. But 2 years into the practice saw me struggling between work and caring for a young infant with another on the way. Deciding that my family was more important to me, I resigned from the law firm and took the low-paying job of a law professor. Some partners of the firm warned me I would regret the decision. One even said, "You know what you are? You are afraid of success." In their eyes, I was degrading my family's chances in life by leaving. I was only 26, but I thought that their definition of success was not relevant to me. What mattered at that time was that I do the right thing, and the right thing for me was to be near my young children and make my husband happy. I enjoyed the challenges of teaching at UP Law immensely. I unfolded mental maps in the difference of civil and commercial law that my students appreciatively developed further. This appreciation by young people and sufficient time with my children convinced me that simultaneous personal and professional fulfillment is very attainable for women. I practiced part-time. Like any lawyer, I also faced temptations to take shortcuts, to bend the law and look the other way. I was not oblivious to well-meaning encouragements from friends to take the easy way out. But each time I succeeded in resisting those enticements, I found myself growing in the strength to adhere to the right path. I constantly sought to diminish the influence of those temptations in my life so that I would always be free to do what is right. In 1993, after I obtained my Master of Laws degree in Ann Arbor, Michigan, from the University of Michigan, my friends urged me to stay in America, have our visas converted to working visas for the sake of our children. Friends reproached me by asking what was I go back to the Philippines, a UP professor's life and salary? I knew, however, that dishonoring my commitment to return to my country and serve was not the right thing to do. So we returned. I continued to write on and teach law and economics and international trade law. Even without the incentive of a huge income, I persisted in making contributions to forge a new area of practice of law in the country. On the recommendation of Justice Florentino Feliciano, the Supreme Court invited me at the age of 34 to deliver a speech on international trade law, the first of its kind before the court's session hall. Years of hard work yielded opportunities to become legal consultant to government in international trade law and to be appointed as the first Asian legal counselor at the WTO's appellate body secretariat in Geneva. My contributions to international trade law were recognized in 1998 when I was named one of the outstanding women in the Nation's Service Award for Law. Now, organizational difficulties also tested my grit. At 26, I had co-written the organizational plan of the Presidential Commission on Human Rights as Deputy Commissioner, together with a team of professionals. As a law professor in UP, I stood up for academic freedom in a professor's evaluation of student performance and for effective teaching, even if it had cost me great personal pain. As head of 2 units in UP, I was able to productively run them despite severely limited budgets. For my success in causing the publication of one of the highest numbers of journals and books, I became a finalist in UP's search for the most outstanding research administrator. At the age of 35, I wrote the inception paper on judicial reform for UNDP, and that paper was to serve as a seed for the large-scale, donor-funded judicial reform programs that are currently in place. I participated in some of those specific programs for some more years. Those organizational experiences whetted my interest in information technology. At 36, I wrote the legal infrastructure for the first paperless securities trading in the country, the Bureau of Treasury. I would pursue this advocacy for paperless electronic transactions and research when I co-founded Access Law in 1999 with former Justice Jose Campos, Professor Heidi Yorak, and other law professors. It is a company that created the first annotated electronic research system in Philippine law. I deepened my passion for constitutional rule when at age 39, I was appointed as the lone female member of the Preparatory Commission on Constitutional Reform, headed by Chief Andres Narvaza, together with leaders as important as former Prime Minister Cesar Virata. As chair of the steering committee, I shepherd the work of the various committees into a framework that shows economic issues in the context of the Constitution. At the age of 43, I became local co-counsel in 2 international arbitration cases involving NAIA Terminal 3, a role I was to discharge for nearly 5 years. I reported to Cabinet Secretaries in Malacanang and to the Solicitor General. I resigned in 2008 because of important policy differences with one of my principals. The country won both cases at the ICSID and the ICC, but the victory in the former was to be subsequently partially diminished.